And now we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
I have a confession to make. I think I'm going to explode. Don't mean that just figuratively. I mean that actually. I'm going to explode. I don't know how much pressure my internal body can take before I just totally explode.
You're going to spontaneously...
I'm going to go. I can't do it. Yeah, I can't take it anymore. Every week I say this, it gets worse. Nothing gets better. Everything I hear increases the pressure, the PSI as they call it in the engineering terms. I really feel like I'm going to just, one of these days, I'm going to explode in the studio while I'm talking. There's going to be little bits of me all over the place. I know the studio will be rejoicing. I understand that. Don't try to hide it. Don't give me that garbage. You're like, oh, we feel so sorry. We miss you. Don't give me that, right? And I think the studio will profit because what they'll do is they'll take little bits of me, put it in a little box, and they'll sell little bits for $25 each. It'll be a promotional device for the studio.
A collector's item.
Yeah. And but I mean that. And I think the reason why I feel that way is because when, in fact, you think critically and you get to a point where things become clear, you think about them constantly because they're clear. For example, if I said something and I didn't make any sense, I wouldn't go around thinking about it. I would want to forget it because it didn't make any sense. Why talk about it? I mean, why think? If someone says, well, the reason why they had those airplanes go into the World Trade Center is because to hit our freedom, man. Let's go for a drink. I mean, no one's going to think about it. You're not going to walk around saying, well, let me think about that. Because if you did, you'd realize, you'd say, I'm an idiot. But when things become clear, you think about them constantly. And you think about them from every angle. And it can drive you mad. And this is not a joke. You can drive you mad. And let me give you an example. All right? People, my wife included, lovely lady, she's here at the studio, my entourage with, I want to introduce Kevin Greer, and my agent is also over here. He aggravates me. Someone should write him a letter and tell him to start aggravating me, Gary Murphy. Yeah, my wife is giving me, I have to give his name too. I didn't want to do that, And of course, the famous Jim Jeffries, from KBXL radio, Big Country Radio 99.5. Anyway, my entourage is here this morning. Anyway, I forgot where I was. Anyway. You
were going to explode.
Yeah, I was going to explode.
Yeah.
And you think about things very, very critically, and you play this thing in your mind. You play it over and over and from different angles. And the more you play it because you want to, is this sound logic? Sound logic. And if it's sound logic, you want to know. You want to see. You want to constantly test it. It's like when you go to a lab and they find they arrive at a conclusion. Well, they test it from many different angles to make sure it's valid. I do the same thing in my head. My wife, for example, she says, "My goodness," she said, "you beat a dead horse." Now, I'm not one to correct my wife, but allow me to correct her on the air.
Oh, right? Boy.
Here we go. Right. You see, I not only beat a dead horse, but I will exhume the body and start it all over again. I am. That's exactly the way I am. Because I think about this stuff. I was walking Riverside with my dogs, and I am speaking out loud. I am broadcasting out loud. And, of course, and people coming in the opposite direction towards me, they make that U-turn, that big turn around so they don't get too close. It's maddening. But what drives you crazy is when you think about this stuff, and then you have this lapse of listening to a politician on or some of the talk show programs, or you turn the TV on, this is the dumbest thing you can do, right? And you hear what they are saying, it drives you nuts. It absolutely drives you nuts. Before I go any further, I want to confirm something. Last week, a gentleman called, Josie, was it? he called and said,
Joseph, I think.
Joseph,
it was.
okay.
Yeah, I believe.
He contested. He said, "Where did I get my statistics from when I said 500,000 Iraqis were killed, children were killed?" Well, here it is, and I wanted just for the record, interest of full disclosure, as they say, on 60 Minutes, May 12th, 1996, Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State under Bill Clinton, admitted over 500,000 children had been killed in Iraq, and felt it was worth it. I wrote that down because those were her exact words. Of course, she learned very quickly she was going to eat those words and danced around it for the next couple of weeks after that. And it didn't sit pretty with anyone. But she admitted, yes, it was. We do kill people. We kill people, we kill people, we kill people. It's a shame that we have been we go to schools of mass interrogation, and we come out believing this is good for the world. I have a question for everybody. Let's say, for example, a person commits a crime, but he didn't commit it by himself. He had a lot of people helping him. For example, let's say a guy robs a bank, right? There's someone who sold him the gun, someone who drove the car there, someone who maybe planned the bank robbery, right? And during that time, that bank robbery, the guy is armed, and let's say he kills a couple of people. Well, our judicial system says that the person who helped, the accessory to it, are equally as guilty, and they'll get the chair or they'll get the prison sentence also, right? Are we all in agreement with that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. I mean, if I'm driving the getaway car and the other guy's in there shooting everybody else, I'm as guilty as him. I am complicit. I am helping him.
You're an accessory to a crime.
Yeah,
right?
I'm an accessory to the crime, all right? Now, that's accepted. In fact, if you watch even the Perry Mason programs, you'll see that on TV
yeah.
all the time, right? And even in today's dumb programs where they have all these hot chicks and these guys walking around like they know everything, and they never make a mistake.
They're male models.
That's
yeah.
right. They make $1.46 a week and they have a penthouse in New York. I can't figure that out. And we watch this crap, by the way. Anyway, you'll see it there. Now, I have a question for you. Now, this is what drives me nuts, right? Now, remember, you are listening to the University of Logic, better known as Christianus Conservatory, correcting convoluted conversation, because that's all I hear. That's all I hear, folks. Now, listen to this.
Okay, we're listening.
A person runs for office. The guy's a neocon. His answer to world affairs is nuke everybody. And, we got him in office. We got them there. I mean, Senator Kaine, they're all that way, we'll send our troops there. We'll square them away, regardless of how many people will get killed. It's for the greater good, as far as he is concerned. In other words, we'll go around killing people and justifying it and have absolutely no excuse whatsoever for doing it. I mean, not excuse, reason, but we do have an excuse. Now, that's killing people. We kill people. Our drones have killed 4,700 people so far. I'm not making this up. February 19th, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham stated in a speech that drones are responsible for over 4,700 deaths, including children, and then the tagline, which he regrets. That is killing. These children had no say in it. They have no idea why they're being bombed. The families have no idea why they're being bombed. And we are killing people that we suspect are operatives, whatever that means. Whatever that means, a citizen of that country, we are bombing that country and not giving that person that we are targeting due process of our law. That's murder.
Accessory to a crime.
Yeah, well, that's right. Now, here, this is what drives me nuts. This is why I'm going to explode all over the place. If we accept that, when you elect, when you push that button or that lever or you fill out the stupid voting card for that neocon who is pro-drone attack, pro preemptive strike, I mean, he would kill everybody, Are you not, by that very action, an accessory to that murder? if you voted for knowing that this person was going to do that, that's his platform, a very strong military. And you know what that means. You know in your heart that that means more drone attacks, more soldiers, more random killing. Are you not, and you vote for it, and as a result, he gets in office, and then he pushes in that regard. Politically, he gets that. He votes for that. Are you any different than the driver behind the wheel of a bank robbery? You've got to ask yourself that question. Now, you can't say, oh, no, it's for the greater good. It's for, they're bad people. You can't say that. You don't know that, and I don't know that. But yet we continue to kill people. We are accessories. And then 9/11, when someone says, I've had enough, I'm going to fight back, we say they hate our freedom. I want that to sink in, folks, and I want you to tell everyone you know that. And anyone who has an answer to that, please, 855-866-1170. I'd love to hear from you, and I will not chew your ear off or your head off. 855-866-1170, let me hear from you. Or you can send me your email, comments at libertytalkradio.com if you are afraid to call the station. And you can visit our website at libertytalkradio.com. All the information is there. Leave me a note. But you understand the logic of what I'm saying. Now, I say, well, your mother voted for this guy and then she's a murderer. Don't go there. I'm talking about the intent, what our intention is and what our actions do, and the harm that we do. And after we pull that lever and then we start killing people, then on the weekends we go to our place of worship and pray for peace. And you want to know why I want to explode. All right, let's go for break. We're back, and with an apology, I'm sorry I'm screaming over the radio. It's early on a Sunday morning, and I'm just too agitated, and I apologize. But on the other hand, I just hope I made my point, and I hope it sinks in. We already have a few callers. Let's get one. Here's Lloyd from Henrietta, Oklahoma, the crossroads of that part of the state. Lloyd, how are you this morning?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Joe, in any type of crime, you kind of have to follow what the motive is or whatever, follow the money kind of thing.
Right.
And all those drones are paid for how?
I paid for them. I did.
No, they ain't paid for yet, Joe. It's borrowed money.
Oh yeah, but it's on my balance sheet. It's on my.
Right.
Hey, Lloyd,
right.
Lloyd, I agree with you, Lloyd. I'm going to give you a little bit of a hard time now, Lloyd, just jokingly. Yeah, but it's on my balance sheet as a liability, Lloyd. It's in my name. You're right. Yeah.
And what is the funding mechanism there that provides that money? It'd be the Federal Reserve.
That's right. Oh, the good Federal. Yeah, my Uncle Ben.
And without the Federal Reserve, we would have to actually go to the people and borrow real capital instead of phony money.
Hey, you're getting to the heart of things. Oh, absolutely right. Everyone's winging on around here.
And so whenever you have what they call, a flexible money system, as we have, means you're buying on a credit card, you always do things that are really not in your best interest if you just got a credit card and you think you're never going to have to pay for it.
You are absolutely, especially when there's no ramifications, like a return, some sort of return on your investment, so to speak. You're right, Lloyd.
So
yeah.
I think if you cut off the money supply by ending the Fed, the easy money policy to to every bad thing we do, whether it's all the social programs or the warfare programs, they're both funded by the same mechanism, and that's the reason that the Federal Reserve was established, so that we would have a flexible monetary system rather than being set on a fixed standard with a gold standard where you actually had to work for a actual product before you had actual money. And to me, I'm working to end the Federal Reserve.
I'm with you 100%.
Amen, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lloyd, you should have your own radio program. How come you're not here? And how come I'm not sitting where you're sitting and I'm sitting where...
Well, that's because I'm getting to sit in a recliner and you're having to sit in the studio, so I'm actually on the radio.
And we have to watch him almost explode.
Yeah.
Hey, Lloyd, I appreciate you calling early Sunday morning. Listen, why don't you send me an email to comments@libertytalkradio.com with a mailing address and a T-shirt size. I'd like for you to be a walking billboard for Liberty Talk Radio and the March Towards Freedom.
All righty, thank you.
All right, thank you, Lloyd. Take care. Okay, we have here John from Tulsa. John, what's happening?
Well, a whole lot of things are happening, and I noticed that news and talk radio and whatnot thrives on negativity, and I'm one of the most negative, so I hope you'll like it.
Good for you.
Negative Nancy here.
Yeah, so what you got, John?
Well, I'm not quite in the same category as your previous caller. He seemed to have it all together, but I was wanting to talk about a different subject, but your collateral damage and the like that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I know you're kind of you don't like to talk about partisan politics, but I can't help it. To me, Democrat and stupid the words are interchangeable.
No, all right, I agree with you, but I go on both sides of the fence on that. But yeah.
Well, the Republicans are not a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I agree.
I wanted to call it to somebody's attention. Has nobody ever noticed that whenever a Democrat is in charge, for example, Franklin Roosevelt, and Woodrow Wilson before him, the wars that they have are glorious. They're a wonderful thing, and how great it is to. And you're not quite as old as I am, but I bet you remember when we used to call those people Japs. That was an insult.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And I mean, we hated them. We hated the Germans, which, by the way, I'm of German descent. But I mean, we were 100% for probably more in World War II than in World War I. Everybody was enthusiastic about it. But then, when a Republican is in charge, for example, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, it's a scandal. It's a terrible thing. We have done these horrible acts, and people died. Like 5,000 people died, whatever. When Truman took over, and they dropped the 2 atomic bombs, and I think. Your 500,000 number would probably be considerably more than that.
Yeah, right.
And women and children were killed, and we glorified in it. I mean,
That's right.
We loved it.
Right.
We said, we got rid of all those stupid Japs. But nowadays, if we kill somebody, even during an act of war, such as the Muslims putting their children up in front of a mosque, using them for human shields. Well, we're supposed to bear the shame, when they're trying to kill us.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, Now, see, I'm going to interrupt you, John, because I think your point was well taken until you change gears, and you change gears on me when you say they're trying to kill us. No. You have to understand. In your mind, you're going to say, "What the heck are we? We are trying to kill them. They are patriots." They are defending themselves. They are defending that. What if there was a bad person from another country, and define that whichever way you want. A bad guy, and all of a sudden, that country came over here with troops and drones and was bombing your neighborhood, right? To find that bad person that did a bad thing on their soil, right? Would you guys not be fighting back as patriots?
Well, that would tend to irritate me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, come on. You'd get your Springfield 1903. Loaded up with some 30-06, and you would be out with me, arm in arm, and we would be sniping these guys. So that's all they're doing. Understand my point, okay?
I kind of got. You're right. I got off my track about comparing the presidents because I want to get back to like Reagan, for example. They ragged him about Iran-Contra, and their lives were at stake during that incident.
Okay. John, thank you so much for calling, John. Appreciate it. If you want to send me an email to comments@libertytalkradio.com with a mailing address and a T-shirt size, I'd be more than happy to send you a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt for calling in this early in the morning. Okay?
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now. See, there's a point. We do have a problem when we say, well, and we did this with Clyde. I'm sorry. What was that fellow that was just buried last week? Clyde.
Oh, the sniper.
Yeah, sniper.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember. My goodness, I can't remember. Anyway, we said, well, he only killed people that were coming towards him. He was only defending himself. Well, number one, I agree, and I think he did a good job. I mean, he obeyed orders, et cetera, et cetera. However, that begs the question, what the heck is he doing there in the first place? Let me draw this analogy even further. We said, well, are you people who vote for a person who's a war hawk, are they not, in effect, guilty, of all these, guilty and responsible for these debts as well? Well, what about the parents that are irresponsible enough to instill in their children that going in the military and serving your country is an honor. It's a high order of living. And as a result, when the kid gets out of high school, he enlists and he winds up in Iraq, Yemen, Syria, wherever we are, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and in fact is trained to be a killer, goes there and kills other people. Are the parents not complicit, and are they not guilty? Now, don't get me wrong, please, folks. Don't go, well, you're going to put all these parents in jail. No, don't go there. I'm talking about logic. I'm talking about the way we think as a nation. There are some nations that don't think that way. There are some nations that say, if we don't go someplace and kill people, if someone comes here and does harm, we handle that internally according to the laws of this country. And that I could buy. What I cannot buy is going around everywhere and then convincing the populace that what we are doing is good. And it's a shame. There's a fellow, Johnny, that I really like this kid. He's a super kid. And he's going into the police academy now. He wants to do some special work, etc. Sharp kid. And I met him at the coffee shop, and we're talking. And I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "When you're in uniform," I said, "would you violate, the Constitution, the constitutional rights of the citizens, by, doing something to a citizen, that's unconstitutional?" I said, "It's a big problem today." And he says, "Well, if it's for the greater good." Think about that. It's for the greater good. Now, I can say, my wife finds me in bed with another woman, right? She, "What are you doing?" I said, "Honey, it's for the greater good." I mean, come on, please. And I would follow it up by saying, "And by the way, while you're at it, get us a couple of cigarettes and some coffee." I mean, what kind of answer is that? It's for the greater. Now, I didn't argue with the kid. I mean, as a young guy, I expect him, I didn't expect much more than that. But I'm just saying that, where did he learn that? He learned it from somebody. So aren't our parents complicit in all this? We have wars around the world. Aren't I responsible for that? I mean, if I raised my children properly, would they not be thinking logically and saying, this is not right, I am not going to go in uniform, be trained to be a killer, go there and kill someone 7,000 or 8,000 miles away that I have never met in my life, that some corrupt government says is a bad guy and should be done away with. And that's exactly what we're doing. And spare me the USA. Spare me all that crap. And until we learn that, we cannot come home and do our business here, because we are feeding the military-industrial complex, which is financing actually financing, in effect, the Federal Reserve, which is subjugating all the citizens. This is all one big game, folks. It's all tied in. There's no loose ends here. The only loose end is you and me. We're paying for it. And listen to these, comments by these talk show hosts that drive me nuts. They drive me nuts. Just yesterday, I heard one say, well, if they want a libertarian office, then they'll just have to run one and see if the people elect them. What a stupid I won't mention who it is because I'll get in big trouble. But what a stupid comment that is. An absolutely ignorant stupid. Yeah, you run. Yeah, first of all, you can't run as a libertarian because they won't let you. They will give you airtime. During a debate, just the Democrat and the Republican that the power brokers want in office get center stage, answer all the questions, and everyone's there as window dressing. This is not a free country. This is not a country where we vote for whom we want. Ask this question to yourself. What if on every ballot in every state, and regardless of who was running, whether it be a local congressman or regardless of what it was, and especially President of the United States and U.S. congressmen and senators, what if they had the Republican, the Democrat, and they allowed all this, and they had the Libertarian, and then they had none of the above? They had no, forget about this. They just had Republican, Democrat, and then the third one was none of the above. I think Obama got voted in by 27% of the vote. 24% of the vote. 24%. Less than 1/4 of people voted for him. Of course, that's the mandate. And we're going to go for a break. I need a break. The entourage here made an excellent point. He said, if we were truly defending ourselves and someone got killed, that would be one thing. If you're just sitting there and you're sitting in a restaurant, a guy comes in and starts killing shooting up the place, and you happen to be carrying a firearm and you shot that person to defend yourself, your family, and the people around you, that morally, that's very, very different. And you see, folks, we used to have a Department of Defense. In fact, it was called the Department of War during World War II. Then they changed it to Department of Defense because, no, we can't have a Department of War. We actually have a Department of War. We're not defending anything. If we were defending our own shores, we basically would have no army at all. Everyone would have a gun. Someone would come. How are they going to come here? They're going to come here on boats in New York Harbor or Atlanta, Charlotte. They're going to get off the boats and they'd never make it a block away. You'd have 200 million people with firearms firing at them. It'd be impossible. It would be like us going to the jungles of Vietnam, going into the deepest part of the jungles of Vietnam, and walking through there and taking over the jungle. Ain't going to happen. You see, there's no need for all of this. There's a need to keep a military to make certain that our armament is up to snuff to deter some nutcake that was out there that wanted to perpetrate some harm. But other than that, we don't need that. And in fact, if we had 1/10 the budget in the military, that would be much more than enough to do everything we needed to do if we, in fact, abided by the rule that we were going to have a Department of Defense and not one of offense. Understand that, folks. Because, it's illegal. It is illegal. It's unconstitutional, and it's wrong. It's against the law of nature to go over to someone else's country and then to land your troops and kill people. I want you to really think about that. Another thing that plays in my mind when I'm walking Riverside with my dogs is this thing with Germany. Germany asked for its, I think, 250 tons of gold. It's their gold. It's their gold, that's being held some in Fort Knox and some in West Point and another location. And they said, well, we're stable enough now. We're not in World War II or, the Iron Curtain, all that other stuff is gone. We want our gold back. In fact, no, we just want a portion of our gold back, 250 tons. Our response to them was, no, you can't have it. You can have it over 8 years. And did you hear an outcry from America? Did you hear America go, no, give them your gold. Give them their gold, rather. No, you didn't hear anything. I didn't hear one person, not one radio talk show host said, this is wrong. Give them their gold. Let me give you an analogy close to home. You bring your car in to be repaired, or no, even better, you drive your car into a parking lot. Just say, hold my car, I'm going to go to the movies. You have a ticket. You give the ticket to the attendant, and he says, sorry, you can't have your car. Here's the carburetor. What would you do? Oh, yeah, here's the knob to the radio. We'll give you the rest of the car later. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? You say, Cristiano, what's the matter with your brain? You're stupid, man. What is the difference? What if you went to the cleaners and you gave them your ticket? You say, I'm here to pick up my cleaners, and you had a suit, a dress, and some other stuff, a couple of shirts. And they gave you one shirt. They say, well, we'll give you the rest, over the next year. What would you do? But, you'd be outraged. Over a shirt, you'd be you'd make a scene, you'd get an attorney, you'd go nuts, go absolutely nuts. Germany would like a portion of their gold, 250 tons back, and we say no, and guess what? No problem. What are they upset about? There's not one person who's criticizing what we've done. Now, let's turn that around, folks. Remember, this is the University of Logic. Cristiano's Conservatory correcting convoluted conversation. This is what this place is about. I'm not talking about events. Events mean nothing. But just think, if we went to France or Germany, another country, and said, oh, by the way, you've been holding this stuff for us. We'd like it back. And they say, no, we don't think so. We'll just give you this for now. And bye-bye. I can guarantee you we would be at war. That would be the number one news item day and night for 2 weeks, to a point where we would be begging our congressmen to go to war, begging them to go to war. You see my point? It's a matter of logic, a matter of thinking, a matter of, my father used to say, mentality. We don't have a mentality. We have been we're isolated from both the Asian continent, the European continent, and as a result, we have the power brokers here telling us everything that's going on because we're not connected to anyone. And then we believe them. We've been indoctrinated. The rest of the world is thinking in one way, and we are the world's exception. I wish I could say we're right and everyone else is wrong. You see, I consider myself sometimes clinically insane, because one of the definitions of insanity is when you walk around saying, hey, I think I'm right on this one. I really think I'm right. But the rest of the world is thinking, or people around you are thinking in the other direction. You have to conclude you're the nut. You're the nut cake, not everyone else. If you'd like to make a comment about that, call me at 855-866-1170. That's 855-866-1170. You can send me your emails anytime to comments@libertytalkradio.com. And we invite you to visit our website at libertytalkradio.com. We have the videos there, and everything you ever want to see in your life is there. Folks, when and how do we turn this around? It's not getting better because I listen to talk radio because I'm in the business. I don't like to. There are some that I like, some that it makes sense, some make sense. Most don't. I hate to say that. They just don't. What they are telling you is what you want to hear. I want to tell you what you don't want to hear. That's the way we learn. It's like a Republican going to a Republican rally. Big deal. A Democrat going to a Democrat rally. Big deal. I always say, well, you know what? My father was real Italian. Italians were the best. Everybody else was second place. The whole country. I mean, he was a funny guy. I mean, he was a wonderful person. He was good to everybody, but he thought that way. I said, hey, Pop, he belonged to the Italian American Association, you know. I said, why don't you go to the Irish American Association? He almost killed me. I mean, went crazy. I said, that's what I would do. I want to find out what everybody else is saying. All right, let's take a call. Caller, you're on the air. Your first name and where you're calling from. Caller? Yep, hold it. Caller, you're on the air. Your first name and where you're calling from, please.
Joe, this is Dave. Dave from Tulsa here.
Okay, Dave. What's on your mind?
Joe, I've called a couple times before, and I just wanted to mention two things. You had a great caller, the first caller, Lloyd, and then some other callers have mentioned about the past there, about World War II and stuff like that. Just two things. Number one, World War II, we enacted a World War II, or a wartime act called the Income Tax Act. So, according to that, okay, Joe, just one thing to think about, and up for discussion later on, because I want to bring along my second point. According to that, we're still under World War II as long as we pay income taxes. By law,
I like that.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
We're not supposed to pay income taxes. We're not supposed to pay income taxes by law. No, our ancestors didn't pay before us.
Right.
Okay? So,
good point.
You know,
good point.
That's one thing right there. Now, the second thing I really want to bring out is, according to this guy, and everybody just called this morning about the money.
Dave, you got about 30 seconds. Can you make it quick? Because we're going to break. Go ahead.
Real quick. We have to go back and redo the guy, the lobster, Al Capone. Al Capone was illegally made to pay income taxes because you can't pay income taxes on illegal made money.
Okay, Dave, you're my man.
Hey,
You've made my day.
Great show. I got to go. I got to let you go.
Okay, Dave, thanks a million. Take care. You see, that guy's thinking. I mean, it's tongue-in-cheek in a way, but he's thinking. This is what America needs to do, start thinking and start accepting everything that you hear. And we're going to go over some of that. We have a break now? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Folks, I'd like to make mention we're having a new sponsor next week. It's Jenks Nutrition. She's a naturopath, an ND, not an MD, an ND, like in Nancy. Heather Walters is her name, and she's a naturopath, and she'll be sponsoring our show. In addition, we're going to have custom embroidery by Rose. She's on Mingo here in Tulsa, and she does everything with T-shirts that can be done with a T-shirt, embroidery, and all the shirts that we have done, the Zorgology T-shirts and all that. She's done all of them. She does a magnificent job.
Which would become a national phenomenon, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to start charging you double. But all of this is a means in which we have people who provide a legitimately good service, good products, good service that is supporting liberty. It's a win-win for everyone. My point being is that you should support those companies that support freedom and liberty for your rights. They are doing it. I'm doing it. It's your turn to do it also. Our main sponsor is Ranch Acres Audiology over at 31st and Harvard. And all your hearing needs can be done there as an audiologist. Takes care of everything. And, of course, McCool's Firearms. They've been a wonderful sponsor of ours, and we've been good for them, too. One of our newer, and they can be reached at 918-663-3880. All-Tech Fire and Security is another one of our sponsors. All-Tech Fire and Security, 918-955-8132. And, of course, GoLibertyFood.com. Survival stuff. I mean, stuff that, freeze-dried food that you can store for 15 years, which we should all have on our shelves. That's GoLibertyFood.com. And the telephone number on that gentleman who's handling that is 888-271-2523. I'm sorry, I took this time out because they do deserve honorable mention, every single one of them, and I stress the word honorable. The Gallup poll that came out recently, did I say this? Tell me if I'm repeating myself anyway. But the Gallup poll came out recently that 99% of Americans consider Iran's nuclear ambitions as a threat to our national interest as the number one problem we have. Number one, 99%. We have a big problem. We have a problem with 99. You know what my big problem is? I want to know whether or not the spaghetti I have this afternoon is going to be al dente. That's my big problem.
There you go.
And that should be my problem.
Why don't you tell our listeners what al dente means?
It's not overcooked. It has a little bit of substance to it.
Yeah.
My father could give you an explanation in Italian. I can't do that. But with that, there'll be a lot of things about Italy in there. You never know. But that should be your concern. Your concern should be, what are you going to do with your families after, not whether or not Iran has nuclear ambitions. In fact, let me turn the tables around. This is I'm going to email on this one. We should be helping Iran with their nuclear ambitions.
Wow.
Well, they're not part of the banking system.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Why would we do that?
And what one of my guests here is Kevin. He's an engineer. And he said, all this is done for money. And he's absolutely correct. Everything is done for money. If we have something, an adversary has to have it, so there's conflict, and in conflict, there's money printing. And he's absolutely correct. It all has to do with money. If you think it has to do with national pride, USA, all that stuff, you're kidding yourself. Well, what they're doing is they're fooling you, and you're buying it. Okay, we got a call, Mark from Tulsa.
Yeah,
Mark,
Joe.
what's on your mind?
You was talking about war hawks and what have you. It's a good thing we elected a Nobel Peace winner.
Absolutely. I feel so much better. That's right. That's why I sleep so well at night.
Yeah.
And another thing is, next time you come out for event, I'd like it if you could stick around long enough where I could at least shake hands with you.
All right. What event are you referring to, for example?
Preppers meeting last Saturday.
Oh, okay. We'll do. Okay, Mark. Oh, all right. Well, let me.
Did your entourage rush you off? Is that what happened?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, he disappeared about.
Oh, you had to go to that
20
party
early.
for your little granddaughter.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what it
Oh,
was.
well, that's a good excuse.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
did have to
excuse.
leave early. Yeah, and folks, there's a Tulsa Preppers meeting, and Mark, how do they find out about the Preppers meeting? Where do they go?
Just go on there. It's Tulsa Preppers. And
okay.
Meetup. It's a meetup group, and meetup group / dash.
Okay.
Preppers.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Okay,
Preppers.
Mark, thank you so much for calling in. I guess I'll see you again. Okay.
all right.
Thank you so much. Boy, most people want to punch me in the nose. He
Boy.
wants to shake my head. You think maybe he's lying? He's setting me up.
Setting you up, yeah.
I better. Next time I go to Tulsa Preppers meeting, I'm wearing a face mask. I'll tell you
Why,
that.
why don't you tell our listeners what Tulsa Preppers is?
Well, Tulsa Preppers is just people who get together and have the mentality of what we used to have 100 years ago, whereby when you have a pantry, you make sure your pantry has dry goods in it.
You
So
mean they're
in the
not
event of a snowstorm, you have food.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
very
they're not.
simple.
You mean they're not crazies like they
Oh, no, they're all
portray them on the
absolute
television,
nutcase,
the
yeah.
doomsdayer crazy nuts?
Yeah, and let me say something about this Doomsday
Yeah.
Preppers. One of the most harmful programs on television, because what they do is they
Laugh.
take something, I mean, a way of life that should be consistent with every single person in the world. You are always prepared. The first thing you do is you always have food. My grandfather, now this makes no sense to us, but to him it did. My grandfather would say, before you go out to eat, eat. That was that critical. Food was that critical.
Oh,
they
yeah.
always had food. If
Food
they
was
had
very
extra money,
important to people.
right, they bought some sort of dry goods and they kept them to make sure that they always had something to eat.
And how
Well,
about the families that said, make sure you clean your plate, not waste any
absolutely.
food? Yeah.
You remember the starving children in
Yeah,
China?
yeah.
Now the children in China saying, eat your food, the starving children in the United States.
That's right.
You know that. Yeah. But it's all true. But today, we don't have anything. Don't worry. I go down to the convenience store. I can pick something up.
Obama will take care of me.
Don't worry. As somebody else will take care of me. Somebody else. And there is no one. And all this Tulsa Preppers group is, we have to come back and say, hey, in the event of, and when I say in the event of, fill in the blank. It could be a tornado. It could be an ice storm. It could be a financial problem where you can't get money out of your ATM. Anything. You must always be responsible, and that means being prepared.
That's a great. It sounds like a great organization.
Yeah. Now, the Doomsday Preppers, the harm that they do is that they take such a radical, people spending $400,000 to buy a portion of a dismantled silo, and they're building houses down there, and it costs millions of dollars, and they show you they have 3 years worth of food. And what do people? So when you hear preppers, you go, oh, he must be a nutcase. He must be one of those guys in the silo. No, it should be everyone. That's the way my family used to be. But today, they have nothing. People have nothing, and they're in debt. If there's something that happens, there's going to be hungry people coming to your doorstep. Let me tell you something, asking you for a bite to eat.
And they may not be asking nicely.
Yeah, and they may not be asking nicely. That's right, and it's very true. And the Tulsa Prepper Group takes all aspects of it. Those people who are just want to know how to can, how to store extra food, what they should do, what they should have, first aid.
Self-defense.
Everyday stuff that you should have learned at kindergarten, that's what they do. And then there are some people who have land and what they call a bug-out place, all different. It's a great group, and you go there, you learn a lot. And they, where do they go now, Gary, for information on that?
Oh, they just go to the meetup.com / Tulsa Preppers.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have a caller. Vaughn, is that you?
Yes, Joe, it's Vaughn.
Thank you very much for calling us.
Yes, I agree with your comment on Iran for a constitutional reason. The right to keep and bear arms is an inalienable right bestowed on all men, not just Americans.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Oh, boy. He's got it there.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, we got some thinkers in the crowd here.
No, you hit
what? They're thinking
spot
for themselves?
Yeah. And I hate, I'm going to interrupt you, Vaughn, just for a second, please. I know this is impolite because we're short. I want to make this point. Our Constitution never mentions, when it talks about the rights of man, never mentions citizen of the United States. It talks about the rights of man worldwide. It's an international.
Amen.
It's an international document based on natural law. You hit the nail. That's the pinnacle. All right, go ahead, Vaughn. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
The attack on Iran's right to have nuclear weapons is a prelude to the attack on our right to keep and bear arms. It's to get the American people against arms.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, boy.
Gosh, that's good stuff.
Perfect.
Stuff.
Now, tell Vaughn, let me answer the question. What am I doing here and you're doing it? We should change places.
And we need to be in the studio.
We are out of time, Vaughn. Hey, listen, if you haven't before, send me an email with your mailing address and T-shirt size. I got to send you a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt for that, okay?
Yes. I mailed that to you, and you called back and told me it was on the way.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Vaughn. We got to go. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, this is the end of tonight's broadcast. We'd like to thank everyone for being here. We'd like to thank our sponsors. You can further the cause of liberty by recommending this program to your friends, and let's hear from you. Liberty comments at libertytalkradio.com.